What's good? It's your boy Nobi Inf Gang of Noble Cinema. Today I'm joined with one of the dopest lyricists in the game. With a rich history in the Bay Area, he continues to shine and break barriers that others can't. Locksmith, how are you?
I'm good, man.
We were just getting into the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie, that it put a little bit of negative energy over the Bay right now.
Nah, man, listen. I am the diehardest 49er fan for over 30 years. You know what I mean? Since I feel like the first Super Bowl I ever watched was the one against when I was a kid against Montana. It was Montana against Marino. You know what I mean? Miami. And then the one I really could understand as a kid was the one against the Bengals when we won the Bengals. So I come from that era. So I'm a diehard Niners fan. But listen, man, Patrick Mahomes, he just beat us, bro.
He's not playing.
He was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect. I am a 49er, you know what I mean? McCaffrey, I love McCaffrey. I love Purdy. I love our coaching staff. I love everything. But Patrick Mahomes is a transcendent quarterback. So props to the Kansas City Chiefs. Niners, we just got to bounce back.
What did you do? Did you watch it just at the crib? Or were you just chilling?
Yeah, I just watched it. I didn't want to go out to
SF.
I didn't want to go out nowhere. I like to watch the game, enjoy. I want to have my snacks, my food, relax. You know what I mean? I just want to enjoy it, see everything from every angle. I don't want no drunk person yelling in my ear. You know what I mean?
Yelling right in your ear.
Yeah, I like to just watch the games. You know what I mean?
Nah, it was definitely a good game, but I did not see that ending coming. So, Yep, but that's tight. So this is your first time on my show, so let's go over the history of Locksmith a little bit.
Man, ask specific questions, you will get specific answers.
Let's get it. So what was a young Locksmith like?
Young Locksmith, how young we talking?
We're talking, how about 10?
10, wrestling.
Okay.
Loved wrestling. I remember as a kid, my dad taking me to the Oakland Coliseum, seeing the Killer Bees, you know what I mean? Hulk Hogan against One Man Gang or Big Boss Man or whatever.
The classics.
I remember going to the Cow Palace, watching wrestling. About 12 years old is when I fell in love with basketball.
Okay.
Basketball was that was my passion.
Have you been tall your whole life? Because you're a good 6 foot,
6'5".
6. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Pops is tall too?
No, probably my grandfather.
Okay.
You know what I mean? My uncles, my grandfather, they're all super tall, 6'5", 6'6".
Oh man.
My brother is 6'3" as well.
But
so basketball became my passion in junior high, high school. I was just straight up hooper.
Okay.
All I did was focus on basketball, playing basketball. And then I want to say it wasn't until after high school is when I started that's when I wrote my first rap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So how was it growing up in Crescent Park?
Richmond, California, Crescent Park. Crescent Park in the 80s, it wasn't as bad as it had gotten later on, but during that time, it was very community. Anybody who's been to Richmond and Crescent Park, it's like a housing projects, but all the houses are in circles. That's why it's, hence the name Crescent Park.
I just peeped that right now.
Yeah, they're called crescents, because they're shaped like crescents.
Yep.
So you have some, we call them circles. Oh, that's your circle. That's his circle. You live in his circle. And not all of them are circles. You do have some regular apartment buildings in between, but so we lived in a circle. Our circle was probably the less violent. Nothing really went down in our circle. Everyone had a mother and father, pretty much. But then you saw a change happen when you start getting into the late 80s. And I didn't realize it at the time, but obviously that's when you had the crack epidemic.
Yep.
That's when we start seeing the D-boys on the motorcycles. That's when you start seeing cars coming through. You start seeing hand-to-hands. These type of things start happening.
Oh, yeah.
Violence started raising, police presence. So all drive-bys, bullet, these things. So I saw what things changed from the time of being 5, 6, 7, 8. By the time you get 10, 11, 12, 13, somebody got shot back there. Such and such is dead. This person is oh, wow, this is different, So that was the change that we started to witness. But our crescent for the most part, was a family kind of oriented crescent. Everybody kind of looked after one another's children like a village. You know, it really
Yep.
was that it takes a village type of thing. So that was the positives. The negatives was it was violence, you know.
Mm-hmm. So back in that era, what was the neighbor allowed to spank the other kids if they acted up?
To a certain degree, yeah. Like, yeah. Our neighbor, shout out to Joyce, she was like my mom's best friend.
Yeah.
So, you know, she would watch, you know, I mean, for the most part, my parents, my mother and father, one of them was always there.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't until probably until I was like 12 was when they kind of left me alone. And it was like, all right, 12, 13, all right, yo, Joyce, keep an eye on him. He's at home by himself. Don't make sure you don't even bring in no girls or nothing through, you know, that type of stuff. So for the most part, that's how it was. And my brothers and sisters were much older than me.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
3 sisters, 1 brother.
Oh, okay.
So
pretty big family.
Yeah, they were much older than me. So I never got any alone time. It was like, oh, there's no adults presence because they were 10 years older.
Right.
So if I'm 11 years old, they're 21, 22, 23 years old.
Oh, so you're the youngest?
Yeah, I was the youngest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm my father's only child. So this is from my mother's previous marriage. But
Got you.
My father raised my siblings.
Got you.
Yeah.
How was that growing up in that type of house with other siblings that weren't necessarily like fully blood related? Was it friction?
No, you know, we never looked at it like that.
Good.
I never and to add another dynamic, you know, my mother is black. My father is Iranian, Persian.
Okay.
So I'm the only half Persian, half black. You know what I mean? But it was never they protected me. You know what I mean? Like my big brother was like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to fight. You know, like you don't have to learn this. You don't have to learn how to fight.
You need that growing up in Richmond.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had to learn that real quick, especially, you know, just being like my father during that time, it was still different. Like my father, you know, was the only Middle Eastern or Persian or Iranian, whatever you want to call it, that was there. But they just looked at him and they just thought he was Mexican.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that didn't really exist at that time. So people thought I was like Mexican or half Mexican or something like that.
Right.
So, you know, that was a weird dynamic, but I truly appreciate my sisters, my brother, my family of educating me on who I was. I never didn't realize what I was. Like I know I know I'm black.
Right.
I know that my father's Iranian. I know that I'm both these things, you know, but culturally I grew up more black because that's all I was surrounded by. It wasn't until later on, till I was an adult, that I started understanding and becoming more familiar with my father's culture.
Right.
Until I was able to study it on my own.
And I think that's super important too, because I'm a father now, and like my son is Mexican and white, and like I want him to know both sides of it.
For sure.
Because I feel like it's super important for you to know that too. And like it really, like, your culture makes you who you are. You know what I mean? Of course. So
yeah.
As far as your brothers and sisters, was your sister an artist too?
My sister was a rapper.
MC Spice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did that have any influence on you early? Like, did you see her doing things?
Yeah, you know, I didn't realize it at the time.
But
when I was in junior high or grade school, like sixth grade, fifth, sixth grade, my sister started rapping. And she was...
When she was in 6th grade?
No, I was in 6th grade.
Okay, she was older.
She was older.
Okay,
yeah,
got you.
All my siblings are older. So
Right,
my
right,
sister
right.
is probably like 18 at this time, you know? No, maybe like 20, 21, 20. Yeah. But she had my family, my sister was always a performer. My sister was in plays.
Okay.
She was singing and acting in like plays by the high school, by the, you know, college she went to. So hip hop obviously became like the most dominant popping thing in the late 80s, you know? Like, so, you know, especially and it really we had seen success in this area because you had Digital Underground, you had MC Hammer. Like one of my sister's friends was a dancer for Hammer. My sister used to dance for different groups. I mentioned this in another interview. The artist, we in Vallejo right now.
Right.
Mac Mall, right? Mac Mall, his song Wide Open. You know, that's probably like his biggest song.
Yeah.
The female that's singing on that song, Rashima, is my sister's best friend.
Oh, wow.
So they used to be in a group together. They used to do music together. You know, my sister started doing the rapping This is all pre-Mac Mall, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just to kind of, so you can understand. This is the late 80s, early 90s. My sister started full blown following her rap career. She ends up doing touring overseas. But even prior to that, I saw her doing shows with like Black Alicious.
And like E40, right?
Yeah, I think she was a dancer. When one of the groups opening up for E40 shows, Digital Underground. This is all that era.
Crazy.
And this time, E40 is still just an underground rapper. You know what I mean? Selling CDs out the trunk, tapes out the trunk in Vallejo.
Yep.
So this is all stuff that I remember as a kid going to my sister's shows, remember her writing raps, going into the studio.
And a lot of people don't understand, like, a female rapper is, back then especially, wasn't really like a big thing.
You only had a select. I mean, look, you did have MC Light. You had Yo.
True.
You had Smoothie. You had
True.
There were these rappers that there was a certain time where female rappers was kind of popping. It was like a pocket in the late 80s, early 90s.
But it wasn't so prevalent though.
No, it wasn't like they weren't as big as the male rappers, but every rap crew had a female rapper.
That's a good point.
You got to think, Ice Cube had Yo-Yo.
Yep.
NWA had Hoes with Attitudes. A lot of people don't know that, but this was.
I was about to say, hold on, Hoes with Attitudes. That's crazy.
You had MC Light, you had Queen Latifah, you had Moni Love, you had Smooth E. Those are East Coast. You had Boss. That was a female rapper from the West Coast. You had who else? There was quite a few, So,
but I would say in the Bay though, like who's a good example?
Marvelous.
Of that? Okay, Marvelous.
Marvelous.
Shout out to Marvelous.
So Marvelous.
I actually worked with her daughter. Her daughter raps too.
I seen that.
Lil Marvelous.
Marvelous is dope. Who else was there are several others, Passion.
Yep.
That was a friend of my sister. Passion. She was like a singer rapper hybrid. That Short and Ant Banks, I think, and all them was kind of fucking with during that time.
Right.
So that was my sister's my sister came from that.
So was that when you seen her doing her thing, did that have like an inspiration towards you or?
I didn't think so at the time, but obviously it did. Like I saw her going to the studio writing raps. I saw what a rap notebook looked like.
Yeah.
I saw what she was doing,
Was this pre you rapping?
Oh,
though?
yeah, absolutely.
This is way back
way
when.
before. This is like I said, I'm 10, 11 years old.
Yep. So what was kind of the earliest moment that you remember like, okay, I want to do this now?
This is coming in college.
Okay.
So I'm out of high school now.
Okay.
I played 1 year in college, community college. I did get some offers for possible scholarships. I got scholarship offers when I was in high school, but it was nothing big. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to community college. If I ball out, I can maybe somebody get me a scholarship.
And you went to De Anza, right?
I went to El Cerrito High.
Okay, so you're a Gaucho.
Yeah, I played for El Cerrito High. And we was one game away from the state championship.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to community college. If I ball out, maybe I can get some offers. I played 1 year at Contra Costa College, and I got offers. But it was around that time is when I started rapping.
Okay.
How I started rapping was my best friend at the time left, who we would later form the front line. Him and another guy that we hooped with, whose name was Hot Lips. That's a funny name, right?
That is a funny Hot Lips, though.
But anyway, Hot Lips. So, but they weren't that. Left was always Left. Yeah, they already had their rap names. I didn't have a rap. So they were rapping before me. They were fucking around rapping. Nothing was serious, but they were like, hey, every week they would go to San Francisco, or like, I think they had went like 1 or 2 weeks before me. And I was like, hey, what y'all doing? He's like, oh, this is rap. You don't want to do this. I was like, nah, man, let me try. So Amir, Left was like, yo, why don't you try to write a rap? I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
I remember seeing my sister's raps. So I kind of had a little bit of an idea, but Left really showed me, he let me see his notebook and really look. And he was like, I was like, oh, why you got these slashes? Oh, that's when the rhymes, those are the rhymes. It'd be like,
the bars.
Slash, slash.
Oh, okay.
Those are the rhymes, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now, what do we have here? A new dude repping the Bay, slash. You know what I mean? So just to kind of put it in framework.
And you were what, like 21, 22 at this point?
19, 18. So Left was like, yo, why don't you come with us to San Francisco so you can see us? I saw him. I was like, oh, this is fun, what they doing. And by that time I had like 1 or 2 raps.
Yep.
I didn't know anything about bars or anything like that.
You were just writing stuff out.
Just writing stuff.
Just having
and he
fun
kind of
with
told me like, nah, this is how bar, but I was listening to rap heavy. I was listening to Nas.
Right.
I was listening to Mobb Deep. I was more into East Coast rap by that time. My early years was definitely more West Coast, but by the time I got to like, later on, my influence was definitely more Nas,
Mobb Deep.
That
Yeah,
type of
me
stuff.
too. Well, and that's actually a good question. Is like, what did make you go more to the East Coast stuff? Was it?
So I'm gonna tell you, there's a definitive time when I was in high school. Nas is Illmatic.
Okay.
When I heard that,
Game over.
my sister was rapping, right?
Right.
This is before Illmatic came out. She did a show or a showcase at the Gavin, which was a music convention here in the Bay. Used to come to the Bay Area. It's a big convention.
Okay.
Everybody from the industry was here.
Dope.
We don't have stuff like that no more.
No.
But back then, everybody, my sister's performing, she comes back, she says, hey, I was like, oh, how was it? She's like, everybody was talking about this guy, Nas. This dude from New York. I was like, really? And it intrigued me. So then I remember there was a 20 or a 60-minute special about Nas. And I was like, oh, this is that guy my sister was talking about. And when his album came out, Left was playing it. And I was like, yo, this is fire. And we just got engulfed. We was like, this dude is so dope. And Nas kind of opened our minds to Mobb Deep. Wu-Tang was already popping. So we already like Wu-Tang.
You got Nature. You got all the dudes he was affiliated with.
Yeah, that eventually later on. But that's what kind of really got me. Now, mind you, my brother was already into KRS-One.
Okay.
Big Daddy Kane.
A lot of people wouldn't know that in the Bay, though, as far as like, who the fuck is Big Daddy Kane?
Well, you know what? You'd be surprised. In the 80s, that really was the dominant form of rap.
Yeah.
It was only Run DMC, then eventually Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One.
Yeah.
But in the hood, fools was listening to Short, Seagram's, Dangerous Dame, like all that kind of stuff. But that wasn't the popular rap. It wasn't until Too Short kind of and MC Hammer and all that kind of stuff broke off. So rap was East Coast rap. That's what rap was.
Yeah.
Mainstream rap. But my sister was more in the West Coast. My brother was more into the East Coast. I eventually gravitated more towards the West Coast later on. So that's what our style was. When I heard Nas, I was like, this is the dopest poetic type of rap.
Crazy. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A game changer.
So I was trying to mimic him. My early raps was trying to mimic him, and I would say like Wu-Tang.
Do you remember like when you first hit the studio? Do you have a recollection of that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like I said, the first time I recorded, it was at our homie's house.
Okay.
Right behind Stonestown Mall in San Francisco.
Okay.
That's where we used to, he had an apartment. And he made the beats. He was a white dude. His name was Steve. He changed his name to Kamal.
Okay. And
so we would go to Kamal's house, and Kamal had he had the computer and the studio equipment, and he had beats. You know, because how else he made his beats, and he made the type of beats we like.
He was hip hop. Yeah.
He was sampling stuff like to sound like Mobb Deep, that type of stuff. He was like, oh, this is dope. So we just like rapping, and those were like the first recordings, and they were just like microphone, 4-track recorder.
I was gonna say like Radio Shack mic.
Straight onto it. But then he got an ADAT machine and a real mic. So we were like, oh, okay. So now we're recording demos. And we're going around, and but it wasn't until maybe a year later we said, hey, we need to take these songs and record a real demo.
I was gonna say, so for people that don't know about a demo, because that's like older terminology, like can you explain what a demo is? It's just like it's basically like a promotional tool, right?
So no, so a demo is a 3 to 4 track audio recording. So by 3 to 4 song audio, 3 or 4 song audio recording, you put your best songs down there at that time. Obviously you're an amateur. And you record these songs the best of your ability, and your goal to create these songs is to take them to a label. Either mail it to a label, if you know somebody, give it to somebody famous.
Mailing it to a label is crazy.
You would mail it. You would literally look at the back of a CD. Let's say it's a Wu-Tang CD. They're signed. They're signed to Loud Records. You read the they have the address on there. You take your CD, you put it in an envelope, and you mail it. It says the A&R. You write the A&R's name, and you hope that a label will say, "Hey, these guys are dope. Let me reach out to them."
And they were doing that back in the day, probably opening mail, peeping what
they had interns that sat there and they did that all day. Now, obviously, as hip hop grew, as music grew, you getting thousands. I'm pretty sure people still send demos.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised.
Yep.
But now we have the internet, so that's essentially like your demo. So if you're a new artist who's never put out nothing, you can just put it up on SoundCloud or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and people will, in A&R, their A&Rs, all they do all day is look and try to find the next viral person or the person they think is dope. And now, so basically your online profile is your demo.
Yep. Okay, so the first recordings happen. When does Frontline become, is it Frontline first or is it Locksmith first?
So, no. So Frontline, we formed the group Frontline. It was 3 of us.
This is Hot Lips, you and Left?
Left, Locksmith, and Hot Lips.
Okay.
We hadn't done anything. We did, that's a lie. We did perform on MTV, MTV's The Cut.
That's crazy. Right off the bat?
You remember what that is?
No, I don't.
All right, so MTV's The Cut came out, I want to say, I think it aired in 1999 or 2000. That was our first live show. It was on TV.
How did that connection happen?
There's a Bay Area rapper, singer. Her name is Silky.
I know Silky.
Silky is from Richmond. Silky put us on about The Cut. She was like, "Hey, this thing on MTV, I just did it, and I'm gonna be on it, and blah 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 blah. They're still having auditions. You guys should send in your demo." Silky thought, she thought we was dope. We sent in our demo, which was our little 3-song CD. They contacted us and said, "Hey, come to LA to audition." We go to LA and we audition. At first, we didn't think we got it, so we were depressed. We're driving around LA, sad. But then they hit us up and was like, "Hey, you guys, we want you to be on the show." We're like, "What?"
What songs were these that you gave them? Do you remember?
So we were just spitting. It were just barred out.
It was
songs.
just bars.
But something that was very smart that my sister suggested, because I can't be here all day, but my sister was our manager.
Oh, okay.
So my sister, who was the rapper, is now managing us. She's not rapping anymore.
So she took a step back. She said, "I'm a manager."
She started her family, got married, had kids, so she wasn't rapping anymore.
Okay.
I played her some of our first recordings. She was like, "Hey, this is really good. Let me manage y'all. Let me help y'all."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay." She had the idea, when you guys go down and do this demo, you should have Rashima, who would eventually sing on Mac Mall's song, you should have her perform with you guys. Make her part of your performance because it's appealing to have a girl.
Right.
We went and did that, and it worked. We made it past the audition. You guys are going to be on show. You guys are going to be on MTV in front of millions of people.
Was it a lot of competition for that show too?
It was hella competition.
Yeah.
So we end up winning. We end up getting through like the first 2 rounds. So we're on TV like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
We come back to the Bay Area. It's like, "Hey, we seen y'all boys." You know what I mean? We like, so in our mind, we like, "Hey, we about to
blow.
We on our way to something." And we start getting inquiries from deals from different people. And we're like, "Okay." And so that was kind of the beginning of being a professional rappers. But then eventually, the 3rd member in the group, he ended up moving. He ended up going to LA. He had a job or something like that. So me and Left were like, "Well, what we gonna do? We still want to rap." We was like, "Well, we're gonna keep it Frontline. It's just gonna be 2 of us," which was like a really big deal for us at that time, because we had always been 3. I had never wrote more than just 1 verse. He would write 1 verse. They would write 1 verse apiece. I would write 3 verses. So
where do any of these songs still exist, like online, like with other bro?
Yeah. So we released 2 or 3 underground projects before the internet called the Frontline Bootleg. So the first Frontline Bootleg has some of the songs. So once he left, we were like, "Man, we still got some of these songs with him on it."
Right. What can we do with
What
this?
can we do? So we were like, "All right, you know what? We're gonna keep some of these songs. We just gonna keep him on it." And some of the songs have only me and him, and some of the songs have all 3 of us.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find them online. If you type in Frontline, if you type in Frontline, the Bootleg album, Most of the time, it's going to come out the second bootleg album. That's when we start making noise in the Bay.
Okay.
But prior to that, we had a bootleg album where it was all three of us, and you could find. But the early stuff that's on cassette, nah, you can't find it. I mean,
That's crazy. It was
you know,
on
unless
cassette,
Steve
too.
has some of those. You know, Kamal has some of those recordings. I don't have any of them.
So he steps out of the group, and now it's you and Left. So what was the process of that? You guys just say, okay, we're gonna start, being this group together without him, and then you move forward with what? Now You Know? Is that the album that was next?
No. So, well, it all depends how long you want this interview to be.
Keep going. We good.
We good?
Don't worry about it. We good.
All right. So we were so there's a lot of things that happened before Now You Know.
Okay.
One of the things is I started battle rapping.
Mm.
That's what really got us in the door.
Okay. So that would be the MTV battles, or before that?
Prior
Okay.
to that. So what happened was, when there was three of us in the group, still, we submitted our demo to the Source.
Okay.
Source magazine.
Right.
The Source had something called the unsigned hype.
Yep.
If you got in the unsigned hype, it was pretty good chance you're going to get a deal.
Yeah.
That's what every rapper wanted, to get a major record label deal. So we're going to submit our demo, just like Biggie, just like Mobb Deep, just like all these legendary MCs who got unsigned hype in the Source.
Right.
We sent it in. Once again, there's a phone number in the Source at that time. You could call them. You guys get our demo. You guys get our demo. Every new issue we looking. So the new issue comes out, we're not in it.
So you're calling them.
We call them. I call them. We get through one day and they're like, hey. It's like, yo, this is Locksmith from the front line. Mind you, I'm in college at Cal right now. You know what I mean? I'm going to UC Berkeley. They're like, no, you guys didn't win, but you guys are dope. So for us to hear somebody from the East Coast, this magazine, big magazines, like, yo, you guys are nice.
Oh, yeah.
You guys from the West Coast, guys from Cali, right?
Winning.
Like, yeah. He's like, look, you didn't win this year because the winner, don't say anything, but the next winner is going to be this white kid from Detroit. Dr. Dre is behind him. And we're like, he can't be better than us. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way some white kid from Detroit is better than what we're doing. Then a month later, when the new issue comes out, it's this guy Eminem.
Wow.
By this time, we're avid listeners to The Wake Up Show. The Wake Up Show is a syndicated radio show with Sway and King Tech that plays here in KMEL, in LA, and in New York. We heard this guy Eminem for the first time. We're like, yo, this dude is like, this is one of the first times where I never heard anybody rap like this before.
Yep.
Where like actually the whole understanding of being an MC changed. Because you heard somebody rapping multi-syllables in a way that was like unlike anything before, unlike the way Nas or AZ did it. He was rapping, or Cannabis, you know what I mean? Who was a real dope MC. So anyway, we didn't get it, but he said, the unsigned hype is coming to the Bay Area. We're like, what? Yeah, it's going to be in Hayward on this day.
What? Hayward?
They gave us the exact location. It was at Southland Mall.
Okay.
Be there at this time. We're like, okay. We get our demo ready. We drive up. It's three of us in a group. We're like, we're going to play our demo. They got to fuck with it. We get there, and they're setting it up. We're like, oh, here's our demo. They're like, what is this? What do you mean? He's like, this is unsigned hype, right? He's like, no, this is a battle.
Oh.
We're like, at this time, I never heard of a battle before. I didn't know what that was. I had never battled before.
Wow.
Where I went into something, I had never even really freestyled in front of people.
That's crazy. Because that wasn't a thing.
Well, no.
Out here. That wasn't part of it.
No, it existed.
Okay.
But that was mind you, I'm very new to rap at this point. You know, I think I had just done that thing on the MTV, but that was my first time rapping in front of people, and that was in a studio.
Yeah.
With a small audience and a microphone, but it was cameras, you know? So this is my first time being in a competitive environment. So they was like, nah. I had never rapped alone.
Right, because you're in a group.
I'm in a group.
Yep.
So I'm always like, yo, he's going to back me up. He's going to back me up. I'm going to back him up.
It's a lot more pressure.
It's a lot more pressure. But I didn't even understand I was unbeknownst to that pressure. You know what I mean? So they were like, sign your name, you get 30 seconds to rap. You don't know what
30 seconds.
30 seconds. And basically, and mind you, there's a line of people. There's like hundreds, if not 1,000 people at this battle.
Right.
Every up and coming rapper from the Bay Area is at this thing. This is, like I said, this is like 2000?
Yeah.
99, 2000.
Yeah.
So we sign up. Mind you, I had never done this before, but I just got up there, and for some reason, I just felt real comfortable. Like I just got up there, and everybody's like, oh!
Going crazy.
I was just like, I was watching, now that I think back and I recollect, I remember watching the other people rap, and I remember like, they're not doing it right. You know, like,
Let me show them how to do it.
I could see what they were doing wrong, but mind you, I had never done this before.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't the best rapper at that time, but I think I always had something in me to perform.
Yeah.
Like I knew how to captivate the crowd.
Yep.
The bars weren't at the level that they, should have been, but I knew how to say it in a way that I felt like it would resonate with the crowd.
Do you think that doubles back to like your sister and
Yes.
seeing that early on?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Going to those shows, seeing
Yep.
my sister worked very hard on her performance.
Mm.
She worked very hard. She practiced in the garage. She had dancers. I saw that.
Yep.
So I knew how to just kind of like, I felt comfortable grabbing the mic, getting in front of the camera, getting in front of the crowd and the lights.
Yep.
And I was just like, so I just felt more comfortable, and I end up not winning the battle, but I got all the way to the end.
So it was a song battle or
No.
just like a verse battle?
They put on a beat,
Uh-huh.
and you spit a rap, and if your rap was good, mind you, there's 100, 200, 300, 400 people auditioning. They picked the best 32 people out of those
Wow.
hundreds of people, and they say, now y'all got to battle against each other.
Mm.
So now it's a tournament style battle. Okay,
That's
Locksmith,
fire.
you're against battle rapper A.
Mm-hmm.
You beat him, now you got to battle against battle rapper B. And I went all the way down the pecking order, like, I don't know, 8 battles, and I got to me and the other guy win. But I
And you're doing, so you're basically getting 30 seconds with each battler.
1 round, 2
Wow.
rounds, 2 rounds each battle.
2 rounds each?
30-second you, 30-second him.
Are you
30 second-
recycling verses or you're just going all new?
This is all off the dome.
Woo!
This is when battle rapping
The
was
Terror Dome, bro.
Yeah, this is when battle rapping was completely off the dome freestyle.
Wow.
So this is pre-written battles.
That's insane.
Because
How did you feel in that moment? Were you nervous or were you just like, I was built for this?
No, I was very calm. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I felt like I had the advantage. I felt
Yep.
very calm. But I did started developing a skill that would later serve me.
Mm.
During these battles, it was off the dome, but I noticed once I knew, they said, okay, Locksmith, the next round you're going to be battling MC Backpack or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, his shoes is busted. I'm going to talk about that.
It's like the little details that you would
His
find.
his fade is crooked. When I get up
Uh-huh.
there, I'm going to talk about his fade. Like, oh, you got a bowl cut. It's not written, but I'm writing it in my
Yep.
head in a quick amount of time.
Yep.
I know I'm going to pick out 3 things. I'm going to talk about these 3 things in this rap.
Mm.
I don't know how I'm going to make it rhyme, but I'm going to do it. And that's how I kind of developed the writing style of writing in my head.
And that would catch people off guard too, probably because everybody else was probably rapping just whatever basic
They're just
stuff.
rapping whatever basic, like, so I'm really directing my
Yep.
my battle, my verses or whatever at these guys.
Crazy.
So it translated very well. So
Mhm.
that's when, so after that, I developed a name as Locksmith. Like a lot of Bay Area people was there from the radio station, Bay Area hip hop guys were like, yo, your stuff is nice, Locksmith, take my number.
I was going to ask you, do you remember anybody else from those battles? Like who was there?
So that later on, those connections would help me later on when Frontline.
Okay.
But I remember meeting Davey D. I think Chewy Gomez was there.
Oh, wow.
Because KMEL, the radio stations had a presence.
Yep.
They were probably sponsored it. You know? So
And it's Hayward.
And it's Hayward.
It's still random as hell.
Yeah, and they actually did it twice.
Okay.
So the following year, they had it at Bayfair Mall in San Leandro.
Yep.
And then that's when we met like Mr. Fab. He was
Okay.
Mr. Fabulous back then.
That was the first time you met Fab? Was it that?
I think so. I
Wow.
think that's when we first met Fab.
You said he was fabulous back then?
he was Mr. Fabulous.
Mr.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Fab, remember that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, we met Mr. Fab.
And he was in the competition too?
Yeah, we were all in the competition.
Wow. That's
we were all in
fire.
the competition. And that
That's
was another
fire.
one where I got, I want to say almost to the end round or the second to the, I didn't win, but everybody's like, yo, this kid Locksmith is nice.
Do you remember who won?
Yeah, it was a dude from East Oakland. I don't remember his name, but it was a dude from East Oakland. He ended up winning.
That's crazy.
But everybody was like, yo, Lock. He was
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? No disrespect, but I felt like I got a lot of recognition from that.
That's
and
fire.
we ended up connecting with Fab and end up having Fab rap on, at this time, Frontline. We're recording in the studio. We know how to record. We're like semi-professional artists.
Where you guys going to record at?
We're recording at Poor Man Studio in Richmond.
Poor Man Studio. Where? What?
On McDonald Avenue.
And this
is a legendary studio. This is where Lil Rick, Woody.
Okay.
You know,
Woody was over there.
Yeah,
Wow.
all these guys. This was a legendary studio.
Where was it at?
Master P had recorded there. It's on McDonald Avenue. It was on, it's not there anymore, but it was.
It's not there by the McDonald's, is it?
No, it's across the street from kind of where Target is now.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Kind of where like that parking lot. It's across the street from that stuff.
Got you.
Yeah, so we started recording there, but
so that's when you guys started really building the Frontline name?
Now we know who Frontline exactly is. It's just two of us.
Okay.
It's two of us. We're recording songs. We're recording a compilation with Bay Area artists now. So we're getting verses from Fab. Like, hey, Fab, we want to get you on this song. We're getting verses from the team, which they're...
The team.
Yeah.
Which is Clyde Carson.
We're meeting all of these people in this time frame. So this is like 2001, 2002.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think we just heard Clyde Carson's demo. He had like a CD giving it out, and then we hit him up like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we just start connecting with all these guys. We were we were all coming up at the same time.
So as far as let's go to this then. As far as the Now You Know album, so on that album cover, you're in front of Jones and Harris Records,
Richmond,
yeah, which is like, for a lot of people that don't know, it's a really like important place. Was there a reason you guys did that album cover over there?
Yeah. So the album cover actually. So the album that album was a re-release. The album is really called Who Are You?
Okay.
And that's the album that had What Is It? Which would become our Bay Area kind of classic song. We had What Is It on there. We had a bunch of songs that had a bunch of samples on it. Got
you. So you couldn't release it like legally or whatever?
We released it through the trunk.
Okay.
Mom and pop, consignment places, one stops. The song gets so big, the song and the album gets so big, like we release this independently. We make Billboard, the Billboard charts on
with that project.
I'm talking about not independent through a distributor, no distributor. Literally, we pressed up, 5,000 CDs, took 1,000 to Rasputin's, 1,500 to Amoeba, drove them all around, but we couldn't be in Best Buy. We couldn't be in the record stores, Tower Records at the time.
Well, so when you say you press them up, what is that process? You're going to a place to do it, or we send
them to whatever disc maker.
Okay,
I don't know if it was disc makers. It was probably some other spot.
Yep.
We got it mastered. We got all the artwork official, and we shot the album cover all around South Richmond. So the first album, that what you see as the Now You Know was actually from a shoot that we did later on for Double XL. We ended up getting in Double XL.
Oh, wow.
So
how did that come about?
Well, that's because we were making noise. So Double XL, I was always submitting our stuff to Double XL.
Doing that work. Yeah.
Because that was like publicity.
That's so tight though.
So Double XL was like, hey, we want you guys to be a part of our next issue. We're gonna do a full place thing. So we end up connecting with the photographer. Or we had already connected with the photographer, but we developed a relationship with the photographer.
Right.
And we said we want to use one of those other photos for our re-release of our album. And the reason why the album was re-released because we ended up getting a deal.
Okay.
So
and what was that deal through?
So that deal was through Penalty Records, which was distributed through Warner Brother Records.
Wow.
So we got our first real deal. And this is because of What Is It? The song What Is It, produced by E.A. Ski.
Right.
Was all over the radio.
Yep.
Our records were flying off the shelves, and we get a call from a major distributor like, hey, what is this record? Who are you guys? Because our phone number was literally, it might have been on the back, or it might have been an email.
You were getting the same treatment that you were doing to other people calling.
I'll tell you what it was. FYE. That was a store, a chain of stores.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
FYE, we would go up there we would give them a stack of CDs and be like, hey, we know you can't sell them, but anybody that buys like a Jay-Z album or a whoever album, give them a free Frontline CD.
What?
So
That is
and listen,
smart.
one of the guys, we were going to Hilltop Mall in Richmond so often. One day we going in, the guy from FIE was like, hey, people are asking about you. I was like, well, here's my number. If anybody calls and asks, any record labels call, have them call. We get a call from one of the major distributors like, hey, I'm calling about this Frontline record. I was like, oh yeah, that's us. And they were like, well, I'm Violet Brown. And Violet Brown, anybody listen to Eminem's albums, he talks about Violet Brown. She's part of like the chain distributors across the country. She puts us in contact with Penalty Records.
Okay.
At this time, we're signed to EA Ski as a production company.
Which was IMG. Yeah, okay.
IMG, and Ski has a relationship. He knows them. They worked it out, and we signed a deal with Penalty.
Dope. So how did that relationship come about with you and EA Ski?
So EA Ski, that was through Balance, the rapper Balance. Saeed, who was also the buyer for all the independent music at Rasputin's Records in Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
He also was a rapper by the name of Balance. He was our homie. All the shit we used to do.
I forgot, though, that Balance was running the Rasputin stuff. My aunt worked there. She was the manager she actually, when back in the day I made clay chains, and she got me linked up with Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day when he did Good Kid, Mad City.
Everybody had to go through Rasputin if you're an independent artist. That was how you sold your records.
Balance was taking care of what? Like basically the shows that were going on there or releases or?
Balance was the hip hop guy at Rasputin's.
Okay.
So if you had an independent record that you wanted to sell at Rasputin's, you had to contact Balance. He would decide how many copies they would buy.
So he's the reason why certain people were in the store, basically.
He's the reason he decided who was on the top shelf, all that kind of stuff. Because he was the hip hop pulse of the Bay Area for that store.
Wow.
So Balance was also a rapper. He was also our friend.
Yep.
He did some records with EA Ski. EA Ski is a legendary producer, obviously. We heard these records. We was like, yo, this production is incredible.
Yeah.
EA Ski calls me after I do the MTV battle. MTV battle was a battle that by this time I'm a full-fledged battle rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I'm still doing frontline stuff, I had been battle rapping. After I do the MTV battle, which I had to do a lot of battles to get to that point.
Yeah.
I was doing the KMEL battle. KMEL used to have their Friday night battles, which is where, me, Fab, the team, Selsky, rest in peace to his brother, Killer Keys.
Is that where you were doing there's 3 different ones on YouTube?
Yeah, but it was more than that.
Ones with a white dude, right? That you were battling?
Battled A-Wolf.
A-Wolf, there you go.
These were all on air, and we made a lot of connections there too, obviously. This is where we met Jacka.
Oh, wow.
Although we may have met Jack a little bit, but just definitely connected with Jack up there. Rick Rock, the Federation. We met all those guys up there during that era, that time.
Yeah.
Get sent to New York to do the MTV battle because I won all the battles out here.
This is 2003, right? Yep.
Yeah. I come home from the MTV battle, I'm like a local celebrity. Everybody sees it on TV. It's a huge thing.
People probably don't even understand how TV was crazy. If you're on TV, you're a superstar.
There was no YouTube.
Yeah.
Or nobody was looking at YouTube for.
Especially MTV though.
Yeah, MTV is the biggest music platform, in the universe at that time. I come back and I'm just like, now we actually have momentum. We throw our own shows. We called it the New Bay Show. In Berkeley, we had us Frontline. We're headlining it. We had.
Where were you at? Kips, or you were at where were you guys performing? Was it? Oh,
Blake's downstairs.
Wow, is that still there?
It's called something else.
Yeah. It's not Blake's anymore though.
No.
Yeah. So you guys were putting on your own shows.
We put our own shows, and when I tell you, it was cracking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was us Frontline, Mr. Fab, the team, Balance. I want to say Jay Dandridge.
Shout out to Jay Dandridge.
It was a few, we had a few. It was a lineup that we put together for our people. sold out. I mean, it's a small venue, probably like the size of what we got here.
Yep.
Sold out. People just packed, stuck in there. People trying to get in. Established Bay Area artists is coming through to perform.
And this is after the Now You Know.
No, this is before.
This is before. So this is just basically off of your appearance on MTV.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
And we're getting a little bit of radio play because I was doing the battles on MTV. I was doing the battles on KMEL.
Oh yeah.
So one of the prizes for winning the battle on KMEL, Big Von would play your song afterwards. We had a song called Workout that we felt like this was our best song.
I feel like I remember that song.
Workout, workout. Anyway, Rick Lee would play it, Big Von would play it. We're like, yo, we're getting played on the radio. This is big. So we're developing a name. We do the MTV battle, it goes up even more. I come home, oh, Locksmith, you're a celebrity. We throw this show, it's off the hook. Von is inviting us up to the radio. We're doing interviews. We're doing shows around the Bay Area now. It's popping.
Yep.
We reach out to EA Ski. We only put out mixtapes at this point.
Right.
We reach out to EA Ski to do production. He gives us the beat, which would be What Is It eventually.
Do you remember getting that beat?
Absolutely. I met with Ski because you weren't sending beats you couldn't send up.
You're getting a CD probably.
There was no MP3 to send over the internet. You had to meet up with somebody.
Yep.
We met up by Lakeshore. I think I met with him first, got the beat, brought it to Left, and we were like, we loved EA Ski's production because it had that polished, almost Dr. Dre feel.
Yep.
And we were like, yo, we want to get on some shit like that.
Yep. He's definitely comparable to that. His sound is big.
Very big.
Yep.
And when I say EA Ski, I'm also including CMT, his partner. EA Ski and CMT. They were production partners. He gives me a a CD with one beat on it.
One beat.
and it's the beat, and I'm like, this isn't what we expected. I was like, well, look, let's just do it. He knows what he's talking about. He's a polished. This is our first time working with an established producer.
Right.
Let's just do it.
He's got accolades behind him.
Exactly. So I'm just listening to it, and mind you, I just did the MTV battle. So now what do we have here? A new dude repping the Bay. I'm just talking about coming from the MTV battle.
Yep.
What new dude repping the Bay, niggas done when he's stuck in the way. Then I'm trying to keep it very palatable. You know what I mean?
Especially for the Bay.
For the Bay. I'm not trying to be, but I'm still throwing a little bit of, I ain't a pussy, man. I don't sweat vaginal. We could take it to a battle and do it. I'm keeping it, I'm trying to include things that I know because I just came off of MTV. This is a topic. I got to talk about it. You know what I mean? I haven't released nothing since then.
But I think we're kind of overlooking the fact of like what you're saying about the Bay, like the culture of battling and being on that type of like lyricism wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't. Well, you know what? I ain't gonna say that because Mr. Fab was a battle rapper.
True.
The team, they was battle rapping.
But when people think of the Bay though, Too Short.
Exactly. But the new crop of guys were definitely more lyrics oriented.
Yeah. But I feel like you reined that in though.
I was the first because I was on the MTV thing.
Yeah.
But to everyone's credit, all the underground rappers you had to dude, Selsky, Killer Keith was in the battle.
True.
These aren't people who it was just a part of hip hop. You had to do it.
Yep.
And so, like I said, all these guys, I mean, everybody, I don't want to miss anybody, so I'm not going to try to name, but everybody from the Bay who was a rapper, who wasn't like a big known rapper, we was all at that battle.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, I'm not a battle rapper. It's like, nah, I'm better than that, nigga. You know what I mean? So this was everybody, that part of rap was still very much a part of every part of the country.
Got you.
So anyway, I include that in the rap because it was a thing, but I knew I had to make it easier to listen to. Not that I was trying to get radio or anything, but the beat was kind of more of a club type of beat.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So I said, let me throw that in there, but still keep it smooth. Left threw his verse on. We brought it to EA Ski. He was just like, come to my studio. We had never been in his studio. We go to his studio, and he was just this was our first time like working with
Where's
him.
his studio? In like the city or
In
something?
East Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had a studio above his house. He had like a big house with a studio up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay. And this is when we first really met, I guess, his partner CMT, I think too. And CMT was recording us, and Ski was there, and they were like, they were producing us vocally.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had been vocally produced. He was like, no, say it like this.
Mm.
Do it like this. You're being too aggressive, just kind of do it like this. And I was like, okay. And we did it. Left went and did his, and then Ski went in there and did the hook. We had never heard the hook before. What is it? What have you? And we're like, what is that? It sounds like. And I was just like, well, let's just hear it. And he was rapping kind of a different flow. We were like, I looked at Left. I was like, I don't know, but fuck it, let him do it.
Wow.
And there's a lot of controversy about the "What Is It" song.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
What Is It was a saying in the Bay Area at the time. You know that.
Of course.
What is it?
What is it?
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was saying that. We heard it before our song ever came out. Everybody was saying, what is it?
Right.
It was an East Oakland thing, I want to say, probably the most. But everybody in the Bay Area said it.
Yep.
Ski from East Oakland came up with the hook. What is it? Like, oh, that shit sound fire. Let's roll with it. Once he put it all together, we were like, hey, man, this might work.
Mm-hmm.
The song comes out. It starts getting played on the radio. It took a long time. After some months, probably, that was the end of 2003. The song didn't blow up till probably 2004. It starts blowing up. We start getting all rappers from every hood, and Frontline stole our song.
Oh, no.
We're like, what? Then we start hearing all these different songs of people that had different What Is It songs. Because that was a saying.
Right.
They start coming up to me, why you steal our song? I was like, bruh, I didn't even write the hook.
Blame Ski.
Yeah. But you can't blame nobody because it was a saying.
Yeah.
It's like having a song called,
You Feel Me.
You Feel Me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody probably did have a song called You Feel Me. So anyway,
wow, I didn't know that though. So people were kind of like thinking that you were biting that from, wow.
You had certain people that felt that way, but we just always kept it cool. We kept it player, like, look, man, it's all love. This is a saying. You know what I mean? And it never got to be no problem because we weren't like thug type of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
We were clean cut guys rapping. We from Richmond. We from the hood, but we weren't presenting this image that was like, we're going to come to your hood. We was like, everybody knew Frontline. These are the rap guys.
And Left is from Richmond too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from South Richmond, yeah.
Yep.
Or Parchester and South Richmond. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Got you. Let me ask you about this then. So can you talk about the process of recording the Wake Up Show interview? The Wake Up Show intro that had like Zion Eye, Crooked Eye, King Crooked.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So this was all around that. So I had already went up to the Wake Up Show.
Right.
Prior to What Is It and all that stuff, we had already been going up to the Wake Up Show used to be in San Francisco on Cameo, but it also used to be in LA.
Yeah, I was going to say it was two places, right?
Yeah, they would go back and forth.
Yep.
So one day, Left calls up to the Wake Up Show and was like, yo, we're Frontline. We was on MTV. And this is before MTV Battle. This is from The Cut.
Okay. Oh, from The Cut. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, Left calls and it was like, well, we're going to be out there on this day. Y'all come up here if y'all think y'all dope. So we go up there and this was like, it was so many rappers there. I mean, this is only person I can remember for sure that was there, that Planet Asia was there. Planet Asia and Roscoe.
One of my favorites too.
This is when they had their song. That whatever song when they had Cali Agents.
Right.
That song was popping. And they were up there. And I remember Planet Asia was like, he was like one of the first underground hip hop dudes from California.
From Fresno.
Fresno, you know what I mean? But he was like popping. He was signed to a label and it was just like, yo.
And he was underground.
But he was signed to a major label.
Yep.
And he had a deal so it was like, yo, that's Planet Asia. And so the way the Wake Up Show did it, they had Planet Asia up there, I think did like a little interview on him, but then they had all these MCs. So they just had a line. It was like, look, everybody gets 8 bars. So.
Go down the line.
It's not a battle.
Uh-huh.
It's
Were you thankful? Every time you go somewhere, you got to battle. Now you're like, thank
Well,
God.
mind you, I hadn't battled yet. This wasn't a battle.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yep.
Everybody's just rapping. Everybody goes boom, 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 boom. Once again, I get up there. Somehow I just spit. Mind you, I'm not a polished rapper. I've just recorded a few songs in the closet.
Yep.
But for some reason, I feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I felt like
You just had it in you.
I just had it in me to captivate the room. And I went in there and swaying them like, whoa, who is this guy? So they let me go longer. Like, yo, keep him here. A couple other guys got there. They let him. And then next you know, we're like in a cipher. With me and like 2 other guys or 3 other guys.
Yep.
We're ciphering. And then there's another guy from Berkeley. His name is Mike T. Shout out to Mike T. Legendary Berkeley battler. Me and Mike T starts battling.
Oh my God.
Not on purpose. It just starts happening. Like we're getting the most response. So we're just trying to outdo each other.
Yep.
It wasn't like a battle. It's just like we're outdoing each other.
Yep.
But Sway and Tech liked it so much that they end up putting it on the Wake Up Show volume Freestyles. So maybe like a year or 2 later, people are like, yo, I heard you on this Wake Up Show CD. I'm like, what? And they showed it to me. I'm like, oh, I'm on there.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh, this is dope. So it was great exposure for me.
Oh yeah.
So we built a relationship with the Wake Up Show. So then another time we went up there when they were in LA, we thought we were going to get a proper Wake Up Show interview. Like Wake Up Show, the freestyle wasn't going to be like a battle or a cypher or anything.
Right.
But it just so happens that Juice, the rapper Juice from the Midwest and Supernatural have finished their battle like a week before. So they decided they're going to have an impromptu come up to the Wake Up Show on that day. So we just got pushed to the side and they have like this battle. But anyway, we developed a relationship with the Wake Up Show.
Yeah, and for people that don't understand, like I'll say in my own opinion, the Wake Up Show was a show that changed my life as far as like putting hip hop into the forefront and the spotlight, like Sway, Tech, all them. So, and I remember even hearing you back in the day on the Wake Up Show, like even, you know what I mean? Like I literally had a tape deck that recorded and I would record the Wake Up Show. So for people that don't know, I feel like that was like one of the pivotal hip hop moments.
It was the pinnacle for pure hip hop.
Yep.
You had to go. I mean, not even Nas, Jay-Z, Razzcast, Exhibit.
Yep.
Everybody had to go through the Wake Up Show because it was like kind of the first, if one of the first nationally syndicated radio stations that's all hip hop.
Yep. Yeah, and they were what, at like 9 p.m. at night or something? Or
something like that on Friday, Saturday night.
Yep.
It was huge. So that was how you built a reputation.
Yep.
So I ended up going on the Wake Up Show. Eventually, me and Balance go on the Wake Up Show later on. I want to say maybe like early 2003 or 2002. And I go in there and just murder it. This is like when I really had a real segment.
Yep.
And this is when they are pre-recording it in LA.
Okay.
And they was just like, yo, he got better. This guy got better. That's when I felt confident. Like, I'm going to go up here and murder it. And then ever since then, Tech is like, yo, y'all want to come up here? Sway's like, you want to come up in here? Let us know.
Yep.
Went on there a few more times with like Jen. Remember Jen, the battle? Jen, the MC. I'm up there with Jen. Jen was like, yo, this guy Locksmith, yo. You know what I mean?
Going crazy.
Me and Jen got cool. So anyway, that's how I developed that. And then I think later on, when Frontline started kind of getting some traction, Sway and Tech was just like, hell, let's get Locksmith included. Let's do kind of a Bay Area version. Because I don't think it was only on in the Bay Area in LA at that time.
I was going to say, but that was also like on Balance's mixtape or something, right?
Yeah, so Balance probably was the liaison.
Okay.
I think probably Tech or Sway, Tech reached out to Balance, was like, hey, let's do this. And he wants you on there. It's going to be Crooked Eye. I didn't know who else was on. Fab was on it.
Yep. Crooked Eye.
We recorded our verses, or at least me and Balance recorded our verses at Poor Man's Studio in Richmond. Okay. You know, maybe Fab did too. And Zion I already had his verse on there. I think Essential was on there.
That's crazy.
Or no, maybe I can't remember, but it was.
I still remember hearing that. Though.
Oh no! So yeah, it was a few LA people and a few Bay Area people. Yep. So I think me, Fab, and Balance were and Zion I
Bay representatives.
Were the Bay. Oh, and Zion I, Amp Live did the beat.
Oh really?
Yeah, Amp Live did the beat.
That's crazy.
And so Crook was on there. I remember like, yo, I'm on a song with Crooked Eye. You know what I mean? So it was a big deal, you know.
Was it still like when you have moments like that, because you said you did the MTV thing, but like being on the Wake Up Show, was that like a pivotal moment for you where you were like, damn, I'm up?
To be on the Wake Up Show, because prior to that, the only anthem was the Nas anthem.
Yep.
With Lauryn Hill and all these famous people. And I'm like, yo.
And Eminem, right? They had a Wake Up Show one
Oh,
with
that
M
was
on
the
it.
song. That's when they did the album.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
so
Tech
you're
Nine.
right. With Tech Nine.
Crazy.
Huge. And then
Yeah.
I end up doing the next one that they did, which was even crazier, was like RZA, Crooked, Tech Nine. Like
That was the extended one,
that was the
right?
extended version.
Yep.
We were all on there. We shot a video. That was like, I want to say 2009. But Tech had reached out and was like, yo, we want you to do this. And I had the first verse.
Yeah, that's correct. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So let's go into this a little bit, because I know you talked about it extensively, but the battle on MTV that you did against Rain Man, which I guess I just realized that Rain Man is
RJ
he has
Payne.
a new name, RJ.
RJ Payne. Shout
But
out
he's
to
got
RJ
he
Payne.
makes music still.
Dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a song together. I don't think he's released it yet.
You guys made a song
Yeah,
together?
absolutely.
That's fire.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to that battle, though, like, how did that come about?
So it goes back to the KMEL battles.
Okay.
So I did the KMEL battles, and Sway comes back, and me and Vaughn was just talking about that. I was just talking to Vaughn. We were kind of reminiscing. And I had won all the KMEL battles.
That's crazy.
Except for the one with A-Wolf, because...
Wasn't that a 3-part battle, though?
So all the other battles was just like one round.
Okay.
But this battle with A-Wolf, it was like a lot of celebrity judges. So it was like Rick Rock, Killer Mike.
It was a packed room. I remember seeing the video of
Bro,
it. Yeah.
it was beyond packed.
Yeah. Killer Mike was there?
Killer Mike,
Wow.
Rick Rock, Tech.
Everybody's just in one room.
So before that, I had won all my battles. So the way it was supposed to be is like, yo, Lock, if you win 3 battles, you're the champion, or something like 3 weeks in a row, you're the champ. You're done. You know, like you. So they were like, but we got this guy, A-Wolf. He's the winner from 94.9. We want to bring him up here and battle and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so he won a battle on 94.9
He
with
was-
the 106 cameo?
I don't know exactly for sure. I wasn't listening to their
Yeah.
battles, but he came from 94.9. He was
That's
there.
crazy.
He was their champ. So I didn't know nothing about it. But prior to that battle, Sway had came to the Bay Area and was like, we're doing a battle in New York.
Okay.
It's going to be, we're letting the first 10,000 people audition.
Wow. 10,000 people, though.
But hold on.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to go to New York and audition. But Sway ends up coming and said, hey, certain regions in the country, we're going to hold regional battles. If you win that regional battle, you don't have to audition. You automatically get put into the battle in New York.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I'm the regional champ. They're going to just take me.
Mm-hmm.
So Vaughn or Sway, they're like, nah, you got to battle all over again. I'm like, what? So they had a separate battle in San Francisco. Mind you, I'm battled out.
I know. I was going to say, you got to be.
I've been battling every week for the last month.
Wearing you out.
I'm like, yo. But I'm like, all right, I got to do it. You know, this is what I want to do. So they had a separate battle in San Francisco, and I ended up winning. And the battle, and everybody was there again. You know, it was A-Wolf, Fab. Everybody who was a rapper was there. We all were there, and I ended up winning, and I got the chance to go to New York. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was huge. You know, that was my first time going to New York, and you know, and just being in Times Square and all that stuff.
But I think a lot of people don't understand, like, back then, especially, like, you did have to actually prove yourself in battling or with lyricism.
It was like how the NBA used to be. Like, in order to be the best, you had to win the dunk contest too. Remember? Jordan won the dunk contest.
Yep.
Kobe won the dunk contest.
Yep.
Right? I kind of, it's not exactly, but I kind of compare the two.
No, that's very true, though, because you have to be, back then you sort of had to be like a master of all elements of hip hop. Of course, you're not breakdancing, but
yeah. As far as the MC compartment.
Yeah, so as far as that battle goes, so you get to that battle, and then did you see like a change in your career as far as like from going to that battle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I came home, I was a celebrity.
Yeah.
San Quinn, 40, all these people was like, I was on their radar. They was showing nothing but love. congratulating, like, yo, I was like, yo, saying, you know, growing up in the Bay,
Yep.
even though we're like, you know, similar age, San Quinn, I just looked at him as one of the dopest lyricists in the Bay.
Yep.
So I was like, yo, San Quinn showing me love. Like, I was
Mhm.
like, that's a big deal. Like, we really in this Bay Area scene now.
Yep.
So I came home, I felt like a celebrity. Like, girls noticed me, you know?
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, like I never had that before. Somebody noticing me from music like that. So it was a big deal.
And a lot of people say though that you were supposed to win that battle though.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel that way too, or you just how do you feel about it?
You know, I feel like I've done enough to win, but you know, I don't take nothing away from RJ. I mean, he did his thing and he won.
So this song that you guys recorded is like a recent recording?
Yeah, I did it like maybe, I don't know, maybe a year ago. He
That's fire.
hasn't released it yet.
I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so I was going through your YouTube channel, and like one of your older videos up there is a Shade 45 K Slay freestyle.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to K Slay.
Man, rest in peace.
Do you remember was that like the first appearance you had on Shade 45 with K Slay? Or
the first time I was on Shade 45 was definitely with K Slay.
Okay.
And that had to be 2006, maybe. Whenever that thing started, I was out there in New York with EA Ski. And we went out there to like meet with some labels and stuff like that.
Right.
And K Slay was, you know, that was EA Ski's homie.
Yep.
And he, you know, Ski was like, we have this guy, Locksmith, he's a dope rapper. And I went on there. The first time I fumbled. Oh no, I think I went on Hot Night. No, I went on Shade 45. Because K Slay he was on Shade 45 and Hot 97. I went on Shade 45 and I remember I messed up. And it was still good, but I was like, excuse, like, you know, you fucked up. I was like, I know. I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta get focused. And I was like, so then, but
would you just like stumble your words a little bit?
I just stumbled, messed up. I was like, oh man, I messed up. You know?
That's tough though. Oof.
And which I never do.
Yeah.
Hardly. You know, I do, but from time to time. But at a time like that, I was like, oh man, I messed up. But Slay being a real one was like, well, I'm on Hot 97. I want y'all to come back to Hot 97 on his other show. And I was prepared.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna get focused.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking around. I went up in there. Slay was like, okay. And then the next time when I start coming out there later, Slay would hit me up like, yo, tell Lock we want him to come up to the show. I'm like, really? And then I just developed that relationship. So I don't know which one you're referring to, but I went up there every time I was in New York, even if I didn't freestyle, Slay would like, yo, stop by the show.
Yeah.
And K Slay is such a real one. He's one of the few. Sway is like that as well. But K Slay he did not care if you was dope, if you was an ill MC, he respected that.
Yep.
I am from the Bay Area, Northern California. There's no reason for K Slay other than like, yo, this dude is dope. And anybody who's worked with K Slay knows if you're an ill spitter, he will fuck with you.
Yep.
And to the day he passed away, God bless his soul.
Yep. Rest in peace.
He had reached out to me and I did his last 200 deep. And he would always reach out to me no matter where I was at. He's like, yo, Lock, I need you on this. There's been times I've been on tour and he's like, you coming to New York? He's like, yeah, I'll set up the studio. I will go to the studio in New York and record it for him, knock it out. I'm in Canada or overseas. He's like, yo, Lock, I need you to do your video. I do it wherever I'm at. Find a videographer, let's shoot this, send it to K Slay, because he was just a real one and he deserves that honor. It will never be another, man. Like, just
definitely.
Like it hurt me so much when he passed.
Yeah, that definitely sucks. As far as like the pressure that you feel, so you said you messed up a little bit on like one of those freestyles. When it comes to you like having these appearances, does it take a long time for you to prepare for those moments?
You talking about the bars or whatever?
Just, yeah, when you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna, because I watch all your stuff and I'm like curious, how do you not like flip out every time? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like it's a lot of preparation.
Well, it goes back to my writing style.
Okay.
Remember when I told you being able to come up with bars and form them in my head early. Mm-hmm. So you got to take it back to the time when we were recording our first demos in San Francisco.
Right.
Left and our other partner, had been rapping. They were ahead of me. they knew how to rap. I didn't know how yet.
Mm-hmm.
They were very fast.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at their notebooks, I mean, it just looked like calligraphy. It just looked dope. My shit looked, I was trying to rap, it was just fucked up. And they were faster. So what I started doing is we would go to our friend's house to make these songs. We didn't know what the beat was. We didn't know what we were gonna rap. Sometimes we would have raps ready to rap, but I wasn't that good. He would play a beat. He would make a beat, and then we would take a break, and we would go across the street to the mall, get something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Holla at some girls.
Mm-hmm.
Grab a Source magazine, Double XL magazine, chill out
Mm-hmm.
for an hour or so, and then go back and record. What I started doing is to get a head start, I would start formulating the raps in my head while we're at the mall.
Okay.
So they walking around, you know, hollering at girls, or we doing whatever. I'm there, but in my mind, I'm like thinking of the raps.
Wow.
I'm getting a couple bars. I'm getting my first 4 bars. So by the time we get there, they're just starting their raps.
You're good to go.
I'm already 8 bars into my rap.
That's tight.
Because I was so slow,
Mm.
I just wasn't good at rapping yet. So I
You
had
would
to
never think that about you though.
yeah, but because I couldn't keep up.
Uh-huh.
You know, so they would be like, "Yo, we waiting for lot." Like when it. So if I didn't come up with the rap fast enough, I wouldn't. Maybe I'm not on the song.
Yeah.
You know, I was just trying to impress them,
Mm.
my homies. So that's how I developed that style. So I developed the style where. So what I would do is I would take the 8 bars and I would put them on paper, and then I would come up with the next 8 bars. I'd be like, okay, I'm halfway faster.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened is over time, I started writing the whole verse in my head, and I would transcribe it to paper. And then eventually I just stopped putting it on paper, and I would just come up with the whole verses in my head.
Wow.
And by the time we actually record in the studio, they bring their notepad. They're like, "Where your notepad?" I'm like, "Oh, I forgot it." But I was like, "I already know it." And then I just never wrote another rap after that.
Wow.
So
and that's still the same way to this day? Or
to this day, yeah. I don't write anything down. I just listen to the beat.
No way.
So I just learned how to memorize and formulate the rhymes. For instance, like the 49er raps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have fun. I'm just going off a little topic. You know, every week I'm like, oh, the 49ers about to play. I got to come up with these raps.
Right.
The night before, I'm like, all right, let me do it. Or the same day, I'm coming up with it, and it's a free. I mean, it's not off the dome, but it is because I'm coming up with it in my head. I'm never putting it down on paper, and I'm doing it very quickly.
And it keeps you sharp though, too.
It has to.
Yeah.
So all my albums, people say, well, you never wrote anything. Like the first beginning raps, like that first 6 months or maybe a year when we were recording in the closet,
Mm-hmm.
I was writing in my head, but I was transcribing it to paper.
Right.
By the time we get to recording in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not writing nothing down. You know, I'm just doing it from memory, from my head. And I remember hearing Jay-Z talk about that. And I was like, there's no way. That's bullshit. He's lying. Nobody could do that. You know?
Right. I remember hearing about that too.
Yeah,
about
like
Jay-Z.
I'm like,
yep.
what? You know, this is like 97 when I'm first starting to learn how to rap.
Right.
But by the time we get to like, 98 or so, I'm just doing it in my head.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, that definitely will keep you sharp though, especially if you're trying to keep up with people and you're just like, I gotta have it ready and good to go.
So by the time we get to do something like Sway or K-Slay, it's not difficult for me to rap words that are not in front of me
Mm-hmm.
because I've already been conditioning for that for years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as before we get any further, are you interested at all in like getting back into battling? Like, does that interest you at all?
No. I'm
No.
not even gonna lie. I appreciate battling. I appreciate the art form. I have such a high respect for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from the creativity, but it's something in a battle rapper, and I can say that because I come from that. You know,
Mhm.
at one point in time, that's all I did. Is that it takes a certain level of concentration and a certain level of fearlessness
Yep.
to get up there and have your opponent have basically try to humiliate you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to withstand that. I think for me, the biggest thing that worked well is like I never felt rattled when I was battling.
Right.
Because to me, I was never battling my opponent. I was always just trying to do the best bars.
Mm-hmm.
Who I was battling against was immaterial. But at one point in time, I just didn't want to dedicate my time to talking about another person.
I feel that.
And that's not no disrespect. Like, I just figure like it would serve me better to just making these dope ass rhymes where it can, but I understand battling is a very big genre. And I had, a few years ago, I had friends telling me like, oh, you need to just use it. It'll just boost your social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I could do that, but I'm not in here for that. I'm just in this. I just love the art so much. If I had a passion to do it, I would do it. I did it. I just feel like it was an itch that I scratched.
Well, and I feel like the battle rap genre nowadays it seems a little different than when you were in there. Like it's more of like it is like a sport now. Like they've got big bags on the battles.
Well, the battles that I did, like I had a resurgence in battle rap in 2009.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw any of those battles. Where I battled
Was
Daylight,
it like Daylight?
Disaster. Yeah, so I wanted to do it.
Yeah. So that was your resurgence
That
when
was
you
my
battled them.
So the MTV battle, that KMEL, all that stuff was in 2002, 2003.
Right.
Frontline comes out. What is it? Is popping. I'm performing at Summer Jam. I'm not doing battle rap no more. You know what I mean?
That part.
So I'm not even thinking about battle rapping, but the radio play starts dying down. We're not getting that bag to perform at clubs like that because, the game has started changing. The internet is taking over.
Right.
I see Smack DVD. I see Murder Mook. All these guys battle. I'm like, yo, that's what battling is now?
Yep.
That shit's dope. I want to do that. This is different. There's no more beat now. It's all acapella. I have freedom to do all kind of different shit with my flows.
Yep.
It's more of a performance art. That's what battle rapping is. It's performance art.
Definitely.
I want to do that. By this time, Left is fully immersed into his college. He's at the university. He's in grad school. Frontline we haven't put nothing out in a while. I'm deciding what I want to do next.
Yeah.
Battle rapping is right there. I'm like, this would be a good way for me to establish my name as Locksmith again, as a solo artist. I throw my hat in the ring for battle rapping. And it just so happened that the Bay Area had a premier battle league at the time that was starting up called Grind Time. I see these guys, they right here in Oakland, they're right here in LA. So that's when I start battling again. And that's when, World Star, YouTube, all these things starts blowing up.
I was going to say that's Lush too, right? That's Lush one.
Lush is the host.
Yep.
We reach out to Lush. Lush says, okay. I start battling. It raises my visibility tenfold.
So how was it like battling like somebody like Daylight?
Like I said, for me, it was never about my competition. It was just about me. I just knew if I gave my best, I felt like at that point in time, if I did my best, it doesn't matter what the other person, because none of my battles were judged. There wasn't like, you get paid if you win this amount.
It was the art.
It was just the art. We're just battling in front of people.
That's fire.
To get exposure. You guys decide who's the winner. Because from the MTV battle, and because now I'm an established artist.
Right.
I'm getting money to perform at shows. I'm performing at Summer Jam. I'm performing at the Bomb concert. I'm going to Vegas. I'm an established artist.
Yep.
I'm not trying to get in any contests. That's what I told myself. I said, look, I'll battle, but I'm not doing any contests. And that's what I loved about Smack. Smack battles weren't judged.
Right.
They were just street battles that you put on the internet and people decided like, yo, he was dope,
Yep.
So I was like, I'm down with that. So when I saw Grind Time, I was like, okay, I'll do that. Long as it's not judged, because judge can change people's perception. The audience should judge.
Yep.
At the end of the day, this is art, unless there's some money up for grabs, and then that's a contest, and I don't do contests.
I was gonna say, but it's kind of like putting out a song, because whoever's verse is the dopest, then that kind of says who went the hardest. But you don't have to say it's a contest.
It's just it's just judgment, and it's subjective.
Yep.
So I was like, look, I'll do it, but I'm not doing no judge. It's just a battle, which is kind of how battles are now. I don't know. Do they judge them now?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you just decide who won, and the internet decides.
Yep. But I think it's also like big money now too.
Well, I'll get to that part. I'll get to that part. I have my doubts about it. So anyway, I do the battles. It gets me a lot of publicity, a lot of visibility. I'm only looking at it as this is going to help my artist career, because I need to reestablish myself. So I start putting out songs as an artist, and it starts getting love
At the same time.
at the same time.
Yep,
I
smart.
think the battle I did with Disaster, that same battle, that night, I went and shot the music video for Rare Form, which would be like my first official Locksmith single, which is just like a freestyle record.
That's crazy.
But that song goes crazy. It blows up on MTV Jams.
That was your first solo?
That's my first solo song. EA Ski produces it. He said, I just have the rhyme already. And he brings up like a breakbeat. I was like, let me spit on it. He's like, what the fuck is that? It's just a 2-minute verse. And he's like, what are you? And he says, this is fire, Lock. And I just walk away from it. I come back, he produces a whole song around it. He puts the guitars on it and does all this stuff, and he makes it a production. I'm like,
fire.
Yo, this is fire. He's like, we need to shoot a video for it. So we connected with a video director down in LA because he did some stuff, and we're like, oh, we're going down to do this battle. So I'm like, oh, this will be dope, because the one thing that Grind Time did, they paid for our flights.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, we get a free flight, hotel, they're paying for it. I'm gonna use this same trip to shoot my music video.
Smart.
We go down there, I do the battle. We actually were gonna include, because our videographer was there to shoot the battle as well. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna, let's not include that in the video. That's a separate thing. I don't wanna, my thing was, even though we're battling, I don't wanna disrespect my fellow battler. Even though he, quote unquote, I may have felt like I won. I'm not, the battle in itself is enough. I don't need to try to like exploit anybody's, you know what I mean? Like I won, like. Yeah, so since then I developed, I ended up battling, let's see, Password, shout out to Password, Daylight, Disaster, and Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I seen all 4 of those.
And those were like my internet battle years. I did all those battles in 2009.
What was the energy like in, say, like the Daylight battle? Was that pretty crazy being there?
Yo, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was in Leimert Park.
Which is LA, right?
Which is LA. Yeah. The hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And but
you guys were in like what, a warehouse or something?
No, we were in their recreation. It was like a recreation center or something. It was like it was like where Project Blowed and all that stuff was from.
Right.
So this is legendary LA hip hop shit to be there.
Yep.
Full of LA people. We had our crew, you know what I mean? Ski was down there. I don't think Left was at that one.
Project Blowed is Almighty Suspect's dad, right?
I don't know exactly.
His dad is like a bigger hip hop
Freestyle Fellowship. They all come from that area. That whole thing. So that was legendary in itself. So they came out there, and my thing was like, I'm just go there and get. But it was intense, like. Because the first battle I did with Password, it was nobody. It was just us. I was like, I don't want no big crowd. This is my first battle. We can do it, but it's got to be like Smack DVD style. Because Smack DVD, it could just be like, yo, we just in this room, we videotape it. It's all about the bars. There's no hooting and hollering to show who's better.
They're in a big ass group of people around you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want nobody cheering for me. I don't want nobody cheering for them. Let the bars judge for themselves.
Yep.
So that was the first battle. The second battle was Daylight in LA. It's the exact opposite. It's motherfuckers hanging from the rack. You know what I mean? It's like packed. I'm like, oh shit, this is dope. So I'm like, okay, you ready? You prepared, Lock? And it's just the rest is, history, internet history. You can see it,
I was just curious about what that energy was like, because you watch those battles. It's one thing to see it in, when you're watching it on YouTube, but I'm sure in person it was just intense.
It was super fun, man. And we had a lot of, because EA Ski is tied to a lot of people in LA, so we had a lot of, we was deep. We came like 15 deep, few SUVs. We just all pulled up, like, what's up? Let's get it.
Ready to go.
It was fun, man.
So to move a little forward as far as your career and stuff, how did the Lock Lyft session start? Like, how did you get into doing that?
So Lock Lyft came from strategically during the blog era. I want to say maybe like 2015.
Okay.
We were still in the blog era.
Right.
Right. You still wanted to get your songs or your videos on these blogs. I was watching blogs and I would see stuff that like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Logic. They were having these, before they released an album, they would do like these personal listening sessions.
Right.
You remember that?
Yep.
They would invite their closest fans from every city and have like a listening session.
Yep.
And then Logic said, okay, I'm gonna take my tour bus to your house and bring and let you listen to my album in your house or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's super dope. How can I do something like that and capture it on video and upload it to YouTube? And so I was like, you know what? Uber and Lyft was just starting, right? It just started in like 2014 or something. Or at least that's when I started learning about it, 2014, 2015. So I was like, you know what? My next album, I'm gonna do my listening session. I'm gonna act like I'm a Lyft driver. I called it Lyft because it just went well with Lock. It could have been Lock Uber, but I called it Lock Lyft because it just flowed, you know, it's an alliteration. I said, I'm gonna contact my fans, I'm gonna pull up. So I scheduled a thing, I posted on, you know, internet, on Instagram. If you want to hear my new album, DM me or email me here.
You're just like, I'm gonna pull up to your house.
I'm gonna pull up to your house. I'm gonna play you my new album. Had the Brian Storm, my homie, connect his camera, show it, and I would just pull up. I wasn't even driving.
Shout out to Brian Storm. I didn't even know he was still doing videos.
I wasn't even driving. I would just pull up and film. I would park and play them the album. They'd be like, "Oh, this shit is fire!"
Yeah,
and that's how. So that was the first Lock Lyft.
That's tight.
I think I filmed it in 2015 or 2016 and released it in 2016. When I posted the clips, I was getting industry people like, "Yo, this is genius. This is a genius idea of promoting your album." I was like, "Damn, people really fuck with that." What I didn't really include, so when I first posted those first Lock Lyft, it was just a montage of all the different rides that I put together. And you just heard the different songs playing.
Right.
I was like, the next time, now mind you, like I said, I don't write my raps down. I write my raps in my head. 90% of the time when I'm writing my raps, I'm driving. I'm rapping all day while I'm driving anyway.
So that's what's getting you inspired, basically.
So I was like, yo, why don't I just, next Lock Lyft, I'm rapping them in the car anyway. Why don't I rap it why don't I do like a live concert? I'll take my best songs that I feel like and rap them for my fans. But then I took it a step further. So I already have my best songs, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna record one more song and I'm gonna gear it specifically. I know this a hit if I'm performing this live. You know what I mean? That was the beginning of actually creating the content for the Lock Lyft specifically. So then I said, okay. So I filmed it. I only did like 4 songs, maybe only 3. 3 songs, and I recorded different episodes.
Right.
And I released it. And it did cool. I posted clips on the internet. It did cool. But this is the beginning of Instagram allowing you to post video. This was new. There was no reels. Fast forward. So like I said, this is like 2017.
Right.
You fast forward to like 2019. I've always been a person who repurposed his content. Because mind you, I shot music videos for every song. You know, I'm releasing all these mixtapes and albums up into this point.
You got a ton of content.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, Instagram has videos now? I'm just gonna post my shit on. I'll post some of my old videos. The Lock Lyft is no different. When Reels came, I started noting the Lock Lyft content
going up.
Get 100, 200,000 views, 50,000 views on Reels. I was like, then I saw one time he got like 500,000. I'm like, I was like, you know what? It's 2018 at the time, 29. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? My next album, I'm doing every song Lock Lyft. I'm gonna make every song I do is gonna be Lock Lyft. I'm gonna try to do the whole album. I know I can do it. I perform them all. You know, I know them by heart anyway. I'm getting everything ready. COVID happens.
Damn.
Can't do no Lock Lyfts.
Damn.
Shuts down. I have to release my album during COVID because it's like I got to keep the lights on, keep this album out. The internet is kind of popping, but I was like, when shit opened back up, I'm going full swing with the Lock Lyft. Now I'm gonna cater it towards Reels and TikTok. Now TikTok is in the picture, you know. So by the time we get to 2022, or 2023, I'm working on my next album. I'm getting all the songs together, and now I'm doing something different. I'm creating the songs for the lock lift with that in mind. Some of them, this is going to hit in the lock lift.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing it. I'm making songs that I feel like will translate well in the lock lift.
That's tight.
And I'm going to record not just 3 songs. I'm going to record almost the whole album. And I'm going to include my collaborations with other artists. I got this song with Exhibit from my last album. Let me hit up X. Yo, you mind if I come swoop you? We just going to perform the song?
So that was the one I was going to ask you about that. So that song is a collaboration song that he was rapping?
That's the song. It's called With God.
That's fire.
But I understand repurposing the content.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't fully understand it. I just did it without fully understanding it.
Right.
And I'm going to give this shout out to my homie, Lil Russell. During the pandemic, I'm watching Lil Russell blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, this young dude is smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he's doing what I was doing, but he's doing it purposefully. He's saying, I'm going to shoot as much content. I'm dope at, because I noticed Lil Russell from his performances.
Right.
He's doing these performances in his backyard. He's doing whatever. And I'm like, that's what I was doing in the lock lift. I knew it was the right thing to do, but the pandemic shutting down, it was kind of tricky during that time. When I saw him doing it, it just reinforced my idea, like, I got to this is what you need to do.
And you got him on Lock Lift too, right?
It came full circle.
Yeah.
I do the lock lift. I get everything lined up. I said, I'm going to do, instead of just 3 songs, I'm going to do like 6, 7 in one day. I pick up all these people. I'm doing them. I have my cameraman, and now I know how I want it to look. I want it formatted for reels. I'm going to do it a little bit better now. I'm going to have the microphones rigged. I'm going to have everything better.
Yep.
And I do it, and I posted it. I posted the first lock lift, which was a clip from the song Hypocrites.
Okay.
It does cool. Maybe 100,000 views over a few weeks, over a couple weeks. Not what I was hoping. It's not viral, of course, but I'm like, it's good. This is good. It's better than, what I would normally get, maybe like 10, 20,000 views.
Right.
I posted on TikTok. Mind you, I'm not really posting on TikTok like that. I was like, but let me utilize it. No, my friend Echo. Echo is a rapper from Las Vegas. He hits me, he's like, yo, Lock, why aren't you on TikTok? I'm like, bro, I don't even know how to fuck. When am I gonna post on TikTok? I don't do dances and shit. He's like, dude, no.
That's for the kids.
Post the same shit that you do on Instagram. Just do it. Just give it a try. I said, all right. So I start fucking with TikTok a little bit. I wasn't really on it. But I said with this lock lift, I'm like, man, I feel like this could work on TikTok. I posted it. TikTok goes crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The first lock lift I post on TikTok, 1 million views.
Wow.
Goes viral on TikTok. My followers go from like 40,000 to 90,000. I post the next clip. I'm posting different clips from different songs. The next clip, now I'm at almost 200,000 on TikTok, or 150,000 on TikTok.
Crazy.
So I'm like, okay, this shit is working. Even though Instagram isn't showing it, I have to continue to post. And and then I start studying online marketing. I start consuming every podcast, every online marketing video on YouTube. And I was like, what are they doing? How can I apply this in my way?
So when you post stuff, that's you posting it. You don't have like a content manager or anything?
I'm my content manager. I don't have nobody helping me.
Fire.
Other than, I might call, he's Lil Russell. So I post one of the lock lifts. I repurpose the content. I take another clip. I was like, this shit is too dope. I'm going to post another clip. And this goes out to another one of my homies, Armani from Team Backpack.
Shout out Armani.
When I did the first test run for this new iteration of the lock lift, Armani was shooting it. We did maybe like 3 lock lifts that day. And initially, Armani was going to edit it. And he's like, okay, so you want, so I was like, so just splice them all together and make it. I was going to do it like the old way. Armani was like, no. What do you mean? You have all this content. I was like, well, but it's all the same song. He's like, it don't matter. Release them all separately.
Yep.
And I was like, you right, bruh. All of these are different. He's like, no, you need to utilize every bit of content. Don't waste any of it. I was like, you're right, Armani. So shout out to Armani.
That's like the short form content style nowadays. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And I think it's so important to like chop things up too, because nobody really has the attention span anymore like that.
It's all about the algorithm.
Yep.
Utilizing the algorithm to your benefit.
Hitting people real quick.
So he gave me that idea. Then I saw LaRussell and I'm watching his stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know what? And so I'm getting this information from all these different people. And I says, okay, I'm going to repurpose the content. I have all these different clips. For each song on the Lock Lift, I have 6 different clips of that song.
Yep.
I posted another one. That's the one that goes viral. The same song. I just posted it 2-3 weeks later. Mind you, I've already released another song. But I'm posting 2 or 3 times a day on my feed. My Instagram feed has become a channel for all things Locksmith.
Yep.
I didn't see the results immediately, but I continued to post. That particular clip went viral. And now literally every few weeks I have another clip going viral. Now I'm going from 90,000 to 190,000 followers. In a matter of, I want to say a little more than a year.
You hit like 400K on Facebook, right?
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
But on Instagram, I went from 90,000 to now I'm at over 300,000 in a year's time.
Going crazy.
The first Lock Lift of this new iteration that I released was February of 2023. We're in 2024, so it's been about a year. And now I went from less than 100,000 to 300,000. So that I consistently, it hasn't been quite a year, but I've consistently posted at least once, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day for 1 year.
That's what they say you have to do though nowadays. It's like 3 pieces of content per day.
And when I tell my friends, they're like, oh, that's too much. I'm like, bro, once you do it, now I feel like if I post 1 time a day, I'm like, yo, I'm slipping. Like, that's not enough. You got to up it.
Yep.
So
yeah, you got to keep doing that.
You got to keep, so that's how you build it. So that's how I came with the Lock Lift as it is now. It was like, it was a combination of what I was doing before mixed with the intent of what I'm seeing now and going into the content that I create with a specific intent, being more intentional about even my music videos. I'm shooting my music videos differently. When I went, because people say, oh, music videos are pointless. No, you utilize them. You just have to have a different mind frame. Like I still like high production music videos, but you had to shoot them differently. So I'll give you an example. My music video for America.
Right.
It's one of my most popular music videos. And it's one of my most popular, when I say music videos, it's one of my most popular YouTube videos. It's one of my most popular Lock Lifts. And it's one of my most popular videos on Instagram. Why? Because I went into it intentionally. I was like, this has to look appealing on TikTok and Instagram. But I also wanted to look appealing on YouTube. So I shot up the video. I shot the video and I chopped it up in a way where, shout out to my boy Marmo Films, because he shot the video and edited it. But I was very specific. I said, I want these things. I'm sitting in a chair and everything is happening to me in this chair. So I don't have to move. If we execute it right, it will be entertaining enough, because I'm looking at it as a 30-minute clip. Excuse me, it's a 30-second clip. I'm looking at it as
how to chop it up.
A 60-second clip and a 90-second clip. But I'm also thinking about how it looks on YouTube. I said I wanted to almost feel like a one take, but we can edit in some things, but it essentially is chronologically happening in one take. And I posted it on YouTube. I posted it on YouTube, but I also posted it on Instagram. It immediately went viral. Over almost 4 million plays on Instagram.
Wow.
1 million plays on TikTok. That's the Lock Lift. The video itself, 500,000 on Instagram. It might have hit 1 million. I don't know. The video, it's at a few 100,000 on YouTube. And YouTube views aren't what they used to be.
No.
But it can still work. It's just how you utilize it. I've noticed that all the videos, I posted them, but if you continue to post on YouTube, it's the same way. The algorithm will reward you.
Oh, yeah.
So I start studying and learning, uploading shorts and doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
The algorithm will reward you on all these different platforms. So I came into it with the intention of shooting my music videos that they would translate on all platforms.
So yeah, it can all adapt on either way. That's crazy though that the Instagram hit harder than the TikTok though. You said that the Instagram got 3 million?
But because these platforms, their algorithms change.
Right.
So when I hopped on TikTok, the algorithm was working to my favor at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, it wasn't popping like that. I'm like, damn, why is this getting 1 million on TikTok, but it's only getting 50,000 on Instagram?
Yep.
Continue to post. Eventually, the algorithm, you become the algorithm.
It's a consistency game too, though. Like
Absolutely.
you're saying, I think that's a good point though. Is like you have to build it and keep it going and keep it moving. Because if you just have one piece of content, it's not really going to do that good. Yeah.
You have to cue. But when I think about it now, I already was ahead of the game because prior to the Instagram phenomenon or the Reels phenomenon, the TikTok phenomenon, I was already shooting music videos for every one of my songs on my mixtapes and my albums. Whether they were cheap, low budget videos or fit, I spent, if you look at my catalog, I have videos that probably cost me $300 and videos that cost me $15,000. No,
Damn.
$19,000.
Mm-hmm.
Cranes, all this kind of stuff, because I was like, as I made more money, I invested more into the production. I invested more into the music, all these things. So I just feel like it's just a constant elevation and a growth. You have to be willing to do that. Now that we are shooting short form, like, oh, that's cheaper. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to spend $20,000 on every music video I shoot. If there's one I feel really good about, I can do that.
Yep.
But the way people are consuming music, but I just like to hit everything from every angle. So I want my YouTube to pop. I want my Instagram to pop. I feel like they're all equally important.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, and you have so much content. I mean, it's crazy to look at like all the stuff you've done over your career too, as far as content wise. It's almost, you got to do about 3 interviews, Steve.
Yeah, it's a deep dive.
But yeah, I definitely respect that about you because I see, even with just like the battle stuff back in the day, and then of course nowadays, I feel like you do take it very seriously, like your content production stuff. So I definitely tip my hat to you on that.
Thank you, man.
As far as like the newer stuff nowadays, so you have a new song that's dropping with P-Lo, DuBois, and Slimmy B.
Yep.
How did that come about?
Well, me and P-Lo, obviously he from the same area, Richmond, that area.
Mm-hmm.
P-Lo, I Am Sue, the whole HBK, we saw their career ascend. They were in high school when we came to their school and performed as frontline, so it's always been that mutual respect. I saw them come up, I'm like, yo, they killing it,
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that connection. P-Lo's brother, Kuya, had produced on pretty much a few of my albums.
Dope.
So I was like, all right, my engineer, who I'm real close with, Blap Dre, who's also the manager for DuBois and Slimmy and SOB and all them. He worked closely with them, but he was my engineer. He was mixing my albums as far as back as I want to say he probably mixed one song on my first album, and then he mixed like at least half on all my albums. If not the whole thing, half of it.
Mm-hmm.
We had got super cool. And he was like, yo, you should do something with P-Lo. And I was like, I just need the right record, And me and P-Lo, we had met in the studio a few times and played beats, and we just kind of never, did anything. But then eventually I had a record. No, eventually I just went out to LA where he has his studio at, sat in there and watched him work.
Is that the one with the green grass all around the walls? Is that studio out there? I seen him and LaRussell working in a crazy looking studio out there.
I'm
Maybe
not
it's a
exactly
different
sure. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. No, Pilo just has a little space. He's like a pre-production studio
Oh,
he
okay.
records out of. But he records his shit there. I mean, he is dope how he works. Like it was dope to
Mhm.
watch him work. But we recorded. I watched him work, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I went back and I had this beat, and I was like, man, this sounds like some bass shit. But I always thought that if I do a song with Pilo, I want him to produce it.
Got to.
That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm gonna wait until something come up. But then I had this beat and I rapped over it. It felt like some bass shit.
Mm.
I immediately heard Pilo on it. I was like, this would be Pilo would kill this. But I was like, I'm gonna hold off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I'm recording with Dre, Black Dre. He's like, man, this shit hard. I'm like, yeah. And I had like a hook. Kind of like a holder placement hook. I was like, I don't know, but this will be fine for now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why don't you get Du Bois on here? I was like, man, what? He's like, you want Du Bois? I was like, yeah. He's like, man, I'm gonna send it to him. We sent it to him. That verse, I was like, this shit fire.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, okay, I want a third verse. Who should I get on here? And I just always loved Du Bois and Slimmy when they was doing the back and forth SOB thing. You know what I mean? Like I just, you know what I mean? Like I loved how they played. I was like,
I was gonna say their energy is a little bit like you and Left, in the sense of like a little more like grimy.
yeah, but it's that same kind of
that's
energy.
same, like Du Bois and you, your cadence of like, especially like your battle days, like
Yeah.
you hear that.
You hear that youthful vigor, you know what I mean? But from a grimier standpoint.
That's
from
a funny, that's
Vallejo.
a funny comparison, but
So
I hear it.
I wanted Slimmy on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Dre. I was like, hey, I send this. It was like, this is some vintage SOB shit. You know what I mean? And then I had it done, and the song was done. And I played it for some different people, and they were like, the hook could be stronger. And I was like, I agree. This is like a placement hook. I brought it to Pilo. I said, P. He was like, man, this shit hard. I was like, what'd you think? Man, this shit hard. I was like, I want to get you on it. He's like, okay, it's all good. I was like, but I want to redo the hook. He's like, why? It sounds fine. I was like, nah. I was like, I feel like, and he starts like mumbling something. He ain't writing nothing down. He just like, what was the words you were saying? So I texted him the words I was saying, and he just like flipped it in a completely different way. And I was like, that's what it needs. Now it's a complete song. I played it for some people. They was like, bruh, you got a record. This shit is hard. I felt pretty good about it. I was like, man, I feel like it. And I did a lock lift with Pilo. Hasn't came out yet. Maybe by the time this video, this interview airs. I haven't released it yet. And I interviewed him. And he gave me some dope words. I was like, hey, bruh, do you think music videos are even necessary? And he was like, it's all about your intent. Because I asked him, I was like, you're very intentional. I see that you're moving in a way, like your visuals, everything you do is very intentional. He's like, yeah. Pilo is a true artist. Ingenious with the things that he does. I watch how he creates songs, how he produces songs. I watch how he worked on the song that we're on. I listen to his interviews. I watch his content. He's very intent. And he's like, bruh, it's all about your intent, how you move. And I was like, that's my intent. I want to do it. We got together. We put it all together. And I think it's a really dope record. So that's how all those connections happen.
Dope.
Bendo and Pilo, Black Dre made the connect with Du Bois and Slimmy. Free Slimmy. Free Du Bois, keep your head up. But they're just very dope artists. I appreciate what they do in their lane. I appreciate Pilo in his lane. And I think they respect me and appreciate what I do in my lane. And I feel like it was overdue for me to make a song really gravitated towards my Bay Area roots.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also dope to hear you. I mean, at this point, you know, you've been in the game a long time, but it's cool to hear, you know, you collabing with the younger crowd too. Like I said, the boy or Slimmy B, and I think it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, ooh, that's a dope collab right there.
But
that I
people
didn't
from
see
the
coming.
Bay know. People from the Bay know, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, that makes sense. Like Vallejo, Richmond.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yep.
not that people who probably only, one of the things about my career, people have known me for so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
People know me from freestyling.
Yep.
People know me from battle rapping. People only know me from, what is it? Bang It.
Mm-hmm.
Bay Area stuff. People only know me from, I did a whole album with Ski Beats and Dame Dash in New York.
Crazy.
People only know me from that, the East Coast stuff.
Yeah.
But staying in the game long enough and keeping the quality, the content at a high quality and a high quantity, the world start to crash together and be like, oh yeah, I fuck with that. Oh, this is like, they start to know me.
Yep.
And they know like, that makes sense, you know?
Well, it's kind of hard to not like I said, when I was doing, you know, the research for this interview, it's like there is your catalog, it just goes extensive as hell. So it's pretty wild to see that. But
who you know can do songs with R.A. the Rugged Man and Da Boy?
yeah.
Tell me, I'm waiting.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important though, I feel like, to be, because in the sense, like, I feel like you're the Richmond Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean?
Man,
and
that's a huge honor.
Yeah, as far as like your ability to be a lyricist, but also with the same connection as far as SOBRBE with the song that he did with them, Paramedic. And it's like he can keep up with them in the same way that you can. You know what I mean? Because certain collabs.
Did you listen to the song I sent it to you?
No, but I seen the snippet on Instagram and all that.
So you hear the vibe, right?
Yeah.
You hear it like it's a vibe where we meet each other.
Yep. And like we said, like that kind of comparison of you and Left and kind of a full circle moment where it is like that energy of like the old school meets the new school. Not to say that you're old school, but
well,
because
you know what I mean? You got to understand, I'm Pilo and them and tell you like Pilo, Da Boy, like they grew up on the hyphy sound.
Yep.
I'm unintentionally one of the architects of that.
Right.
We was there with Mr. Fab. I've done many shows with Keep the Sneak.
Yep.
I was in the studio with Mac Dre. I've done shows with Mac Dre.
Yep.
But Mac Dre respects lyricism.
Yep.
Keep the Sneak respects lyricism. Mr. Fab is a lyricist.
Yep.
We understood how to make songs that could translate.
Yep. Well, and I think too, like, nowadays, I feel like with the music game, there's a little bit of like saturation of like the same shit. And if you really go back in the day, as far as like people like Eminem, or you got like certain lyricists that would get on songs that were mainstream at the same time, but have an underground lyricist feel, I feel like you do a good job of keeping up with that.
That's what I come from.
Yep.
I come from the era, if you're a dope MC, you got to get played in the club too.
Yep. But you got to be able to do that. Like a lot of people can't blend genres.
But it comes with intention.
Yep.
It goes back to that. It goes back to intention. You have to, what is your intent? I want to be, in order for me to be complete, I have to be able to exist and know that's what a dope artist is.
Yep.
Who are the biggest artists? The biggest artists are still the lyrical artists.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can exist in many spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my career, if you look at it, that's what it's patterned after. And that's what I want to do. So to me, it just makes sense. And that's the type of music I always want to make.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
So to go a little bit local as far as Richmond goes, do you follow the Richmond Turn Up page? Have you seen that?
I don't think I follow. I might have seen it.
So it's an Instagram page where they kind of highlight artists from Richmond. I'm sure they posted you before on there.
Okay. Because it sounds familiar. I know Richmond rappers. I've been hopped on their
Richmond
live
rappers.
before.
That's another one.
Real Richmond rappers.
But as far as that page goes, recently they had Instagram Live where they had some artists from Southside. They had some artists from Central. And they had some artists from Narf. All on the same live, kind of discussing.
I like how you said Narf the proper way.
You feel me? Real Richmond. But as far as that, they were kind of like putting an emphasis on the unity in Richmond.
That's good.
What do you feel about Richmond as far as like now as an artist of your stature that comes from there? Like, how do you feel about the scene there, and what do you think we could do to better, emphasize unity?
I think unity is a great start.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting that out into the universe. I guess Left grew up, technically, he grew up in Parchester.
Mm-hmm.
Parchester Village, which is anybody who's familiar with Richmond, that's kind of on the outskirts. That's its own hood. And then he also grew up in our high school days, junior high school in South Richmond. I grew up in Crescent Park.
Mm-hmm.
Different part of South Richmond, but still close enough, But these are different hoods, but we were never claimed to be gangsters or anything like that. We weren't in no turf beat. We were just rappers. But we are from these hoods. Like, anybody know Crescent Park, anybody know Parchester or the South Side, they know these are, places where it could go down.
It's a section.
It's a section,
Mm-hmm.
And but when we came up and initially, we were very proud to be from Richmond. We wanted people to know that. And our first album, Who Are You? Even to this day, whenever I'm in freestyles, bars, anything, I'm dropping Richmond.
Yep.
I'm the BDP of CPV. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crescent Park, like, I'm always going to acknowledge that because that's where I come from.
Yep.
And
you made it cool to be from Richmond.
Well, my intention was we always wanted to. It's just so much pride in Richmond.
Yeah.
So
much pride that sometimes gets in the way.
Yeah, it can be. You can't be that way,
Uh-huh.
But it was just always important to represent where we're from, just like any other person represents. But we always also represented the Bay.
Yep.
We was one of the first people to always say, nah, Bay Area, Bay. We from the Bay, New Bay. Because before it was kind of like Oakland, Frisco, Vallejo, very separate.
Mm-hmm.
But when, in the early, 2000s era, Mr. Fab, Clyde, we were always like, hey, we from the Bay. We was like, hey, it's the New Bay, we from the Bay.
Unity.
It was unity in that sense. But with me and Left, we always, because we were from different quote unquote hoods, in our music, we always promoted unity. And we always got love from all the hoods in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main reasons of that was during those frontline days when I still was working a regular job, we were working part-time jobs as tutors and mentors in Richmond. Part of our job, it was an after-school program. We actually picked up kids from their homes and dropped them off.
Wow. They
lived all over Richmond. We had to drive into North and pick up kids and drop them off.
Yep.
Now, anybody who knows North, it's no, you know what I'm saying? It's a hood. It's no joke. You can't just roll up in there.
Nope.
We're going into the triangles.
Mm-hmm.
We're going into Central. We're going into the South Side. We're going into Parchester. We're going into Easter Hill when it was still Easter Hill.
Mm-hmm.
All these people, there's like, that's Frontline. They from Richmond. What is it? What's good? We hop out, holla at people. It's all love. They knew we wasn't on no bullshit. We there picking up their little cousins, dropping them off, teaching them how to fill out job applications. You know what I mean? This is part of our job, teaching them how to fill out college applications, inspiring them in something positive, but also inspiring them like, hey, you can do music, but you don't have to be on the super turfed out, bang on everybody mode. So we always got love in whatever areas that we went to. So I kind of felt like we always wanted to spread that. And I'm happy to see that people are within Richmond are spreading that, the unity within all the hoods. Because Richmond, anybody who knows from Richmond, it's always been funk between, the different areas. And it's really unnecessary.
Yeah, well, and I also feel like you're a very good conduit for that, though, because you've seen things that a lot of people from the Bay haven't, as far as like the MTV, or you know what I'm saying, or just even the views and stuff that you get and working with certain people. Because when you're from a place like Richmond, it's very small. You think every corner is the only place that there is, and I think to inspire people that there is more to it, but also still remaining prideful is a good thing. And I think you've always shown that too.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it was important. Like, it's just very important for me to show that, Richmond is still my heart. it made me, you know what I mean? It shaped me,
Yeah.
especially as an artist. That's where I pull from. My sister was a rapper in Richmond.
Yep.
But I also have close ties to Oakland too, because my mom had a beauty salon in Oakland. So I spent, when she didn't want to leave me at home, she drugged me to that beauty salon. So I'm right there in East Oakland. I'm seeing Lil D when they was Lil D.
Crazy.
When they was moving, you know what I mean? When they was in the streets. I saw Too Short, when he was Too Short at Eastmont Mall.
Wow.
Slinging them tapes, MC Hammer. Like, I saw all that as a kid because my mom had a beauty salon right there on the corner of Seminary and MacArthur.
Wow.
Which is still you know what I mean? The spot, the track.
It's popping over there.
Yeah, so I grew up in those areas seeing that. You don't think about it as a kid, but
nope.
You know, that was part of my upbringing.
So for my final question is, what would a young locksmith, or what would present day locksmith tell a younger locksmith, advice wise? After all said and done, everything that you've done in your career, like what would you tell the younger you?
That's a good question. Damn, bro. That's a good question. It's a lot. I'm trying to think of the most important things. Like, the most important thing, like, every opportunity, just do it. Not anything that's negative, but any opportunity that's positive, don't pass up no opportunity. Don't pass up the opportunity. You're smart enough and strong enough to handle it. Don't hesitate. I think that's the better way to say it. Don't hesitate. If you see something, just go out there and do it. Everything in my career that I felt like I didn't get the most out of it is because I hesitated. When I just go and I go off my instinct, everything happens positive.
The way it needs to.
Yeah, the way it's supposed to, the way I had hoped it to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate. Locksmith, I appreciate you. Thanks for a really in-depth interview.
Yeah, man.
Keep doing what you're doing, and definitely keep holding it down for Richmond too. Because for me, it's a very, I grew up in Richmond too. So
that's what part?
Uptown. You know what I mean? 27th and Andrade.
Okay, dope.
Yep. So we right up from Babs. If you know Babs, or the U-Haul over there on 23rd.
Okay, yeah. So almost San Pablo?
Yeah, over right by Richmond High.
By Richmond,
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I went to Salesians Boys Club.
Yeah, my brother went to Salesians.
Yeah, I played basketball for him.
But yeah, keep holding it down, man. You know what to do.
Yes, sir.
But yes, sir. Appreciate you. Yee.